in this industry, it's a service-oriented industry. You are providing a service for customers, whether it's embroidery, whether it's rhinestone, whether you're printing, whether you're doing vinyl. No matter how you are, if you are decorating a garment, or decorating a mug, or if you're doing sublimation printing of any sort, you have to use some kind of graphic as your foundation to start the decorating process. And that graphic is defined in two different styles. You have a rasterized image and you have a vectored image. The differences between a rasterized image and a vectored image, we'll open one up. Let's go ahead and go with, let's open up this star. A rasterized image, first of all, one of the attributes you have is every rasterized image or JPEG image or PNG image or TIFF image will always have a white background to it. You can see this one does. And when you zoom in, the graphic is made up of thousands of little pixels. And I can't get in far enough so you can see those pixels. Let me see if I can get in just a little bit further. Let me get a little bit further. No, that's as far as I can get in. These blues that you see in this field are thousands and thousands and thousands of pixels, and they all come together to make a solid blue when you're looking at it from a distance. When you're looking at a distance from the red, at the red areas, you can see that it's red. When you zoom in, it's made up of thousands and thousands of squares, and that's why your edges are usually jagged or sawtooth. Let's bring in another JPEG image, get a better look at it. So you can see the jagged edges there of how the squares overlap, and then you get the sawtooth edge. Vectored images are images that are clean, okay? These are clean images, okay? Let's go here, let's go here. Let me just delete the JPEGs. Vectored images, for one, have no background color. Also, too, the edges are smooth and crisp and clean, okay? Also, you'll notice that when I choose a color like this peach, it's peach from the center all the way to the edge. It's a solid color. It doesn't fade, it doesn't bleed, it doesn't do any of that. The green is green all the way through. It's 100% color. Also, too, a vector can be ungrouped into different parts. When we ungroup, we got the ability to edit one of the leaves or remove objects. And we can actually edit them. One thing about vectored images is that you have node information. These white pieces, these white dots right here are called nodes. And nodes are management tools to manage shape. From this node to this node is managed by the position and the shape of these Bezier grips. On each node, you have these Bezier grips. You can see them flying out here, and you could twist the whole node, and it's controlling how this shape takes place. Okay, that's what nodes do. Deleting a node is simply clicking on it. Now, there's three different types of nodes. Four. You have a curved node. Curved nodes basically curve a shape. You can see how round the nature of this is. You also have straight nodes. And what it does, it straightens the shape from one node to another. If I go back to curve, this will be more rounded. You also have what are called corner nodes. Corner nodes are nodes that will still curve, but you could put a degree of straightness into that node. You can see when I go back, when I turn off corner, you see how curved that is. When I turn on corner, it treats that node as a corner, and it'll bounce. It'll actually shape that node based upon the Bezier angle. Okay. All right. There are more tools that you get when you have a vectored image. In other words, when I remove this piece, you can see that there's a hole cut out. If I just wanted a circle, you have tools like remove hole. If I right click, I have remove holes, and it makes it a solid piece. What it did, it just deleted all the nodes that cut a hole in that shape. Again, we'll right click, hit remove holes, and there we go. We also have the ability to layer objects. If I overlay this circle with this highlight layer, if I select both layers, I have the ability to do things with it, like combine vectors. I can actually simplify it. Simplify it, what basically does is actually cuts that hole out, just like we had before. And now you see we have nodes again. Another thing we could do is trim shapes. Now, trim shapes will be for when I overlay, when I'm outside of the area and inside of the area. When you select both objects and use combine and use trim shapes, what it does, it keeps all three parts as individuals. See, now I could adapt three colors. Okay? That's what trim shapes does. The next thing we could do is weld. When we have pieces that are touching other objects, whether they be a script font or even this shape, we have the ability to select all parts and then use addition to weld it all together into a shape. Okay? We still have the nodes of creation. You can see them right here. You know, you can still remove holes. But what we did, we took all those three pieces and basically made a silhouette. Okay? So they're the tool. You got a lot of tools that you have. You also have the ability to split it into multiple sections of vector. So I go right-click and split object. I can actually come through here and divide this image up. Now, I'm not sure what happened to my graphic, but we'll just continue like it's there. Remove holes is available in every version of the software that's ever been out. Now what we have two different colors here. Now we could do purple. We actually have several different parts of this image. So we could do something like this. So there's a lot of tools that vectoring gives you. That's going to help you understand as we get into this tech talk. All right, so let's go ahead and go back and talk more about JPEGs. Now, JPEG rasterized images are images. Let's just go to artwork. We'll go to open an image. JPEG images are images that are bitmaps, JPEGs, picture images, GIF images, target bitmaps, clipboard format, which are screen captures, and portable network graphics. Portable network graphics are actually keeps the background color. You'll see on the internet some graphics that are JPEGs on there actually have a black background. Okay, and what it does, it keeps the black background. Most of your JPEGs and bitmaps will come in as a white background. Okay, and you can see all these are just basically JPEGs. Now, JPEGs come in a resolution size. Okay, that's the quality of a JPEG is determined by its X and Y resolution numbers. Okay, X and Y being X being left and right, horizontal and vertical being Y. If I go to properties on this JPEG or this PNG file, and I go to details, I can see that the dimensions of this image is 288 pixels wide by 288 pixels height, okay, at a 24-bit depth, okay? Now, this graphic, when I pull it in, will actually not be a very good JPEG image. When you have a JPEG image like this, you'll have a lot of discoloration. It's not a solid color orange here. On the edges, it lightens up. It also black bleeds into it. You can see the black transitioning from solid black into a gray as it migrates into the orange, okay? We could also, and you can see it takes place, and in the smaller areas, you'll even see a more degradation of color, okay? Let's pull in that other, let's pull in the other one here. Catalogs, and we'll pull in, let's pull in this guy right here, okay? Now this image, before we actually open it up, let me just go ahead and let me just open up in artwork, open image. Let me just make a room here. Come on, mouse. The settings on this mouse are really temperamental. Okay, this memorial, when I click on properties and I go to details, it's actually 96 DPI by 96 DPI, very low resolution. When I bring that in, you'll see that that comes in same size, okay? There's another version of this that I have. Now, this 96 DPI is even smaller than 288. That means that there's less pixels in this image, okay, per inch. And you can see what happens is you can see the marbling effect of the blues. You have gray, or the white looks very dirty. You have reds that were part of this actually bleeding into that white. And that's just the nature of a 96 DPI image. Let's go into artwork, and let's open up the other one I have. And that's vector. Hold on. The other one I have is right here. When I right-click on this one here, and I go to Properties, and I go to Details, this one here is slightly larger. This is actually 354 by 142. Has more pixelation, so there should be a lot more solid colors in it. Now you can see difference right away. When you go to a higher pixel resolution, the image gets larger, okay? That's because there's more area to fill pixels in. When we look at both of these images together, okay, we're going to look at both these stars, okay? We look at the 96 DPI, you can see how faded it is. How many colors we actually see in here. When we look at the other star here, let me just click on the hand tool, move this down. You can see we still have a degradation because we don't really have a very clean image. We're actually a little better on this one. But there's not much detail there at all. When you're looking for a JPEG to use or a bitmap to use, you want to look for something that's a little bit higher in resolution, okay? Obviously. So I go to Open Image, and let's see what this guy is. This one here, when I go to Details, is actually 96 DPI. It's not going to come in too clean. Let's look at this heart right here. Go to Details. This is 232 by 217. That's not too bad. I always look for something that's higher than 700. The higher above 500 I get, the better the image. Here's a heart that's 2,020 pixels by 1,764 pixels. When we bring this heart in, you can see that the color is more true. The edges are more smooth because we have more pixels, okay? The more pixels we have, the smoother the edges. When we bring in that other image, like we had before, let's go and bring that Memorial Day one. All right, you see the size difference between a 2,000 DPI image and a 96 DPI image. The problem is when I resize this graphic, and you look at the edges are going to look worse, okay, because you're stretching out those pixels. Okay? So you always want to stick to an image that has higher color, a higher pixel, which will give you much truer color depth. When looking for images on the internet to practice with, okay, let's see, we're going to go to Memorial Day. Whenever looking for images that you want to use, okay, always make sure, I'm going to go to Tools here, is that the size of the image you're looking for is large, okay? A larger image will have a higher bit depth, okay? You can see 1280 by 800 on this one. This one here is 1600 by 1305. This one here, which is very simple, is I'm going to save this one. We're going to use this one just in our demonstration, okay? When you look at this, it looks very clean. That's because it's 2,214 by 1,752 pixels. This is a great, great image. Now we're going to save as. We're going to choose clip art, and we'll just put it in there. Let's go to tool. Let's go to large. Let's go to medium. We look at mediums. This is 450 by 450. I would never use this only because I need sharp edges to get those lines in the flag. Okay, it'll be very hard to do that. This one here, as we saw before, is 563 by 227. This one here is 713. This would be good. This is actually at 700, which is perfect for what I need. I'm going to save this one too. I kind of like that one. Okay. When I go to, if I go to medium and I go to small, well, actually, if I go to any size, I'll actually put the lower resolutions pretty much up on top. Let me see what we got here. This one here is 180 by 195. And you could see just from the website on the internet which ones are very low res. You can see the pixelation and the marbling and the bleeding of these images. But this one here looks a little bit better. It's 263 by 222. This one here is 180 by 195. This one here is 317 by 262. But look how clean this one is. It's 435. See, as you go up in pixels, you actually have a much cleaner image. Moving on down, this is a low one, 640 by 460, 180 by 195. So you could start to see how your images are gonna be. Okay, this one's very small. This one here is 450 by 470. So these I don't use. I don't use any of these. Well, you can use them, but your auto conversion into stitches or rhinestones or spangle are going to be vastly different. How you create your design from it. Okay, the cleaner the image, the better it is for me to convert those parts into embroidery or rhinestones. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick with this one here, and I'm going to download one low resolution, and let's do this one here. Okay. All right, anybody have any questions? I don't want to just race through and just not answer any questions. Okay. All right, moving right along. Okay, to bring in those images, of course, you can go to catalogs. If you go to the media images, raster, and you choose what you're looking for: raster, vector, an embroidery design, a DST image that you already worked on, or hotfix or embroidery. You choose what you're looking for. We're looking for rasterized images. Under folders, you choose the folder where you save them. Okay, up here. And then the images show up here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in Memorial Day. Okay, and we're also going to pull in. Now look at that. That one was the one I pulled in that had all the soldiers, and there's a layer on top of that made it hard for me to use that. That's going to bring this guy. You can see right away the difference in size. Size matter, okay? Only because the bigger the image comes in means it has a much better pixel, much higher pixel number. Now, even though this image is actually 2000, when we do zoom in, we can see this marbling effect on its edges. But that's no big deal. We can actually clean that up, and it's part of one of the steps that you need to utilize when converting things to stitches. Now, I'm going to convert this into stitches. I'm going to convert some of this into stitches and some of it into rhinestones. So I know there's going to be people in this meeting that actually are doing rhinestones as well as spangle, and I got a couple people that are doing embroidery. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it. The first thing I want to do after I grab my image, which is step one. Step two is editing the image. Okay. Editing the image means cleaning up the image and preparing it to be converted to either stitches or rhinestones or embroidery or what have you. One of those editing is sizing, okay? How big the customer wants it. They want this full chest. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Layout, and I'm going to go to Set Size. Now, I'm choosing Set Size instead of Size over here because my bounding box, this gray box, is not touching any part of my image. So if I choose this and resize this to what the customer wants, then the image is still going to be a little bit small. So if I go to set size here, the customer wants this 6.5 inches wide. All I got to do is measure a width and anywhere, and what I measured comes up open here. So I'm going to type in 6.5, and now my image is 6.5. Okay. The next editing I'm going to do is cleaning up this image. Okay, let's look in that blue again. You see the marbling effect in that blue. Cleaning up the image is actually reducing the amount of colors shown in that image. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's go select your image and you go to Layout, and you have this tool called Color Processing, and Color Reduction is the tool. When I click on it, my image is going to show up here after it processes. And I'm telling it to look for up to 32 colors. When I click on Filter, you can see all the colors that it's detecting. It breaks down the maroon into little pink pixels that it sees, very small pixels that are on its very edge. You can see some of it up in here on the crest of the R and all the way through. You have a lot of blues, a lot of grays. Well, literally, we only have a white background, maroon, blue, and this silver. That's 4 colors. So you want to reduce to the 4 basic primary colors. When you hit Filter again, this is the before, this will be the after, okay? And you can see there's my 4 colors. Now don't worry about the star, okay? I'm not going to reduce this down or try to add more color. It came in this distorted because look at all the colors that are actually in the original art. So I had to combine all those colors into one, and unfortunately there were some grays that it mistaken as blue, and it brought the blue in, okay? It saw this as a blue, this shadow edge. Once we're done, we can click on Return, okay? Now, if the image is to look like this, there is no further work I need to do. But if the customer wanted me to change things, or I don't like this star and I want to put my own star in it, I would have to convert this object into a vector so I could ungroup it so I could remove that star, okay? So when you reduce your colors, and do not convert the vector until you reduce the colors. You will not like how many vector pieces it comes in when you just click on Convert to Vector. Because I've already filtered my colors, I'm going to hit Filter. You're going to see it's going to come up with the same 4 colors that I saved it as, okay? And I'm going to hit Vectorize. Very simple vectorization tools you have in this software. This is going to clean up the edges. I'm going to hit Return. And now I have an ungroupable object here. So if I click on the star, I can delete it. I can delete all the pieces to it, and I can do further editing to my graphic. That's the whole purpose of step number 2, is to edit your graphic. When we take a look at that D, look at that D. See, we don't have any marbling effects anymore on that D. It's a clean image, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and grab, usually I'll go into Artwork, and I'll choose do a shape, and I'll choose a star, and I'll draw out the star. And I'm going to place it in place. If my mouse will let me, this mouse is like driving me insane. There we go. And then we're just going to resize. Now, when I'm resizing, I'm just going to drag from a corner. Okay. And I'm just going to, oh, come on. So I'm not right on the banner. And then we'll just position this to where we need it. Okay. I could probably just move that just a little bit more. There we go. And then we'll make it a silver star, just like it was before. Okay. All right. So everybody see what I just did there? Okay. Made it very simple for me to actually convert this. Okay. So now I'm not really liking this E, but let's see how it converts. Okay. So once I do that, once I've converted my objects and cleaned it up, now I could start to convert to their embroidery. Okay. So I would normally just go to embroidery. I'm going to choose the tool I want, which is going to be areas. I'm going to do the memorial first. And from here, I'm going to choose my color, choose my density, which is going to be 5.5 stitches per millimeter. I'm going to choose my underlay, which is going to be a zigzag, medium density, because the word memorial is pretty large. And the pull compensation, I'm going to set the proportional 15%. Since I have a good vectored image, I'm going to go to autocomplete on my digitizing method, which is going to give me my magic wand. And I'm going to start converting these all to stitches. Now I'm going to hold the control button and select all these pieces. And then hit enter. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to Actually, I'm going to go to embroidery. Okay. I'm going to go to embroidery. I'm going to go to uniform area. I'm going to go to pattern fill. This is all going to be pattern fill here. So I got my color, got my density. I got my underlay is going to be parallel, medium, high. My pull compensation is going to be none. And I start with none and see how it comes in. All right, so let me go ahead and I'll go to select object. Let's turn on the 3D picture here so you can see everything I'm doing here. I'm going to change my stitch direction lines so it sews down on an angle a little bit more. We want these to sew at an angle. Okay, just like that. Let's take a look at these. Okay, so this needs to be tailored a little bit more. So I'm going to click on Memorial. I'm going to change the setting because it's bulging in some areas. Now, if this is going on terry or some other soft plush fabric, I would probably leave it like this. But because I'm going to probably not going to be doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into my Object Manager. And let me just move this down so everybody can see. And I got to change my pull compensation on this, okay? And I'm going to shrink the pull compensation. That's actually going to allow me to make these letters a little bit thinner. So we're going to go to maybe a 7. There we go. Cleans it up pretty nice. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to turn back on my graphic image. And on the day, I'm actually going to do a run stitch because it's big. Well, let's see how it works. Matter of fact, I'm going to do rhinestone for the star, and I'm going to actually put a border of blue on it, and then we'll carry the blue as rhinestones as well. Okay. So for that, I'm going to go to Hotfix, and I'm going to go to my bead catalog, sweep out the beads, the master bead catalog, and I'll just add the beads I intend to look for. This will speed up your production exponentially, only because you're only going to paging through these stones, and what size is this, what color is that, it just takes a little bit of time to do. So for this, I'm actually going to choose an SS10 stone, clear. That'll be the fill of my star. And then I'm going to go to an SS10 cobalt, which will be the outline of the star, as well as the word day. The word day. This mouse is going to go into Tampa Bay. All right, so we choose the type of stone, choose the size we want to add, choose the color, click on the green arrow, adds that color to it. We'll go on to blue. This time I'll make the mouse hit accept. All right, so now we're going to move on to converting this image into stone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my color first over on the bead bar in rhinestones. I'm going to choose my fill pattern. And I'm going to choose my bead separation, which is going to be 4. Okay. Click on what's going to be 4 and hit enter. There's my beads. Okay. Now let's get it. Yeah, there we go. So it's at 4. There we go. It looks pretty good. Now what I want to do is add a border to this. Okay. So to do a border, it's simple. Just click on the color that you want the border to be. It should be in your bead bar already. Click on the object, and over here is a border tool. And you could choose to do a border, and there it is. Okay. You also have the ability to do a multicolor border if you have the multiple colors set up. I could do a off-on green, just like that. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep with a solid border. Okay. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and do the day, the D. So what I usually do on this is, since it's a vector, I'm going to use Smart Design. You go to Hotfix. I'm going to do a fill and see how it does. Okay. Now, what I have to do is I got to find these numbers. What's the right bead spacing? Okay, and the right margin. What margin is squeezes the edges together. And I think margin should be, let's go ahead and go with this one here. Let's go with a 6 and 6 for bead spacing as well as margin. I'm going to turn on my auxiliary, click on these 2 letters, convert, come down here, separation is at 6, margin from border is 6, and let's take a look. There we go. Okay, I got some distortion up here, but that's easy to fix through Edit Hotfix. If I go to Hotfix, I can then go to my Edit Hotfix tool. It'll let me move a couple around. Right-click, Insert Hotfix, and just add a couple stones here and there. There we go. Probably this would look better if I do this. Keep them all lined up. And then, of course, I would fix the Y, okay? And you can see how that looks. It looks pretty good, actually. You know, I got some work to do on the A and the Y, but you get the idea, okay? When we sew that out and do our design, we look at that on simulation, you can see it looks pretty good, okay? These thread trims are no big deal. You can see where, hold on. Let me just close this. There we go. Thread trims, we're going to have thread trims in between the letters. Of course, you just click, and we'll cover this in future segments, but you just simply click on where the thread trims are, you say yes. You go through all the letters, you say yes. And next thing you know, you have thread trims, okay, between letters. Okay? All right, that's that graphic, okay? Any questions on how I converted that, all the steps I did? I did 4 steps for you real quickly. Number 1, I searched for a graphic, okay? That graphic had to be a certain type of graphic. It's going to be, if it's a rasterized image, I'm looking for how many pixels in dimensions it is. The higher the pixelation, I want you to stick to images that are 700 or above, okay? By the way, if you're looking for images to actually use to create designs, you can go to eBay and do clip art images, and there's mega catalogs out there with a CD with hundreds of thousands of clip art images that are clean, that are 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels or more, okay? So, I mean, you can get those, you can use those, they're royalty free, you can actually sell garments with those, okay? By the way, the same steps are not only just for embroidery and rhinestones, but if you're using a cutter, you need a vector. You need crisp, clear edges to your vinyl cutting, okay? And printing, okay? The only thing different with printing is I need to manage my color, okay, as far as tones, half tones, and shadowing and shading. But that's for a different type of game altogether. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do that other design. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of this one here. After we've edited our graphic on the image, okay, I mean, after we've got a graphic, we've edited our graphic. We sized it and cleaned it up. We reduced the colors, and then after we do that, step 3 is converting all the parts of the object to either embroidery or rhinestones or both or whatever you're doing. Step number 4 is saving the graphic. Okay, that's all there is to this software. It's very simple to use. Okay, all right. In this one here, we're getting loving memory of those who have fallen. Okay, we saw this as a very low resolution image, and we can see how low res it is. This is actually supposed to be white. So in this type of image here, when I go to if I go to layout and I try to reduce these colors, and I have red, white, and blue, 3 colors in this. All right, let's go and click on filter and see exactly how many. Look at all those different shades it sees. Okay, a lot of grays, not much white at all. I think most of the white is actually here. So we are going to do 3 colors. All right, there it is. It's very horrible in here. But this is how I would use this image. Number 1, I do want to clean it up, okay, because there's some aspects about this image that I need to maintain, okay? Second part is actually sizing it. Now, since the bounding box is not touching, I have to resize it using the set size method. Draw an arbitrary line in the direction that you intend to set the size from, and we want this to be a hat design. So I want the height actually, because on a hat design, height is what matters the most. So I'm going to measure from the. Let's go ahead and go from here. And I'll come down to here. No more than 2.5 inches, and I'm going to set this to 2.40 just to be safe. Okay. All right. So now that I did that, now I set my size. Now I'm just going to create it. Okay. It's way. Let me show you how I would never never convert this to vector. It just would not look right. Let's go ahead and try it, okay? Let's go ahead and vectorize this. Look how bad that looks. That's because it's so low resolution. Look how many colors I have in different colors. I can't use the vectorization tool to do anything with this. So basically, in images that are this bad, you better be able to charge more for your client. You have to recognize this when a customer comes in with this poor of an image. Then it's going to take you more time to convert this to the stitches or rhinestones that you need. So you have to be mindful of that, and you have to charge for that, okay? You just can't say, oh, I'll do the artwork for free, and then have all these hours to do to make this. So I'm going to walk you through how I would make this. But you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of time, and you've got to charge for that time. You could find yourself bleeding in bills with man hours and nothing getting done on the embroidery machine or rhinestone machine. Now, the way I would create this is very simple, okay? Just go to artwork. You're going to choose shapes. I'm going to create my own vector, okay? So I'm just going to make a circle right away. And that circle is going to be a border type circle. I'm going to set the color to something antithetical to what my design is. I'm going to use black because I'm going to lay it over here and make sure it's the right size, okay? So what I want to do first is I want to make sure my circle is a complete circle. I'm going to click on layout, and you can see that there's a discrepancy between the width and the height. So what I want to do is I'm going to turn off this lock so I could adjust the bottom number only. Without turning off that lock, you're going to adjust it proportionally, and you're always going to be in a slight oval shape. Now I'm going to turn it back on because when I resize again, I'm going to want to make sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to size this out and just make it match the size of the maroon circle of your graphic, okay? Very simple, okay? The only hard part about it is trying to get your mouse to cooperate with you. All right, and I'm going to move this side over. I'm going to come up here. So I'm building my graphic, okay? I'm creating a vector all my own. So what I want to do, oh, too far. All right, so what I'm going to do, all right, that should be good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the thickness here, and I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. That's too thick. There we go. Now, simple to do the inside, just go Control-C and Control-V. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to center it up on the other one, okay? Just what I want you to do is choose this one, hold your Control button. Just choose them in here, okay? And then if you right-click and you go to Align Objects and go to Align Center, they'll center up on each other, okay? Just position this a little bit. There we go. Come on now. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect. I'm going to select just the top one, hold my Shift key, and resize to do the inside part. Okay. Let's turn off the. Never mind. I can't turn off. Let's go ahead and move him out of the way. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm building my image, okay? So now we're going to do this oval part inside, okay? Again, that's another shape. And the shape is going to be this guy. So let's go ahead and make him. So I'm going to start in the upper right corner. Yeah. Let's try again. All right. Now this one here is going to be a little bit different. And that I need a fill. I need to have this field in here, okay? And that's just simply this one here. It's a fill and a border, okay? All right, so now what I'm going to do is to complete my graphic is I'm going to select, I'm going to get rid of my, I'm just going to, so the way I could turn that off, let me see. I know how to do it. Yeah, this one here, I'm gonna turn him off. Hold on. And I do that by this. Not sure how to do that yet. But what I need to do is I need to click all three of my graphics that I've assembled here. Let's just go ahead and do this. Let's move this guy out of the way. And I need to combine these, okay? They're vectors, okay? So I'm going to combine these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do trim shapes. It's going to cut this circle out for this bar I have in the middle. And it's combined, and it's simplified. And there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my circles. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to color them to maroon. And, all right, so the fill color is going to be white. And the border color there we go. Let's click on this guy here. The fill color is going to be white, and the border color is going to be that maroon. And then this is going to be maroon. And I think that was color. I want to make sure they're all the same. So I'm going to select the rest of them. And there we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert all this to embroidery. Okay. I can actually do that. Very simple to do. Just go ahead and go. This is actually a vectored graphic. I'm going to do the outer rings first. And I'm going to go to Smart Design, and I'm going to choose embroidery, and we're going to do turning area. Immediately go to your, since they're all still selected, come over here to your object inspector and set your density. Make sure satin stitches are 5.5 stitches per millimeter. Okay, you got your underlay set. We just want a regular single line underlay there. And then we're going to go to our pole compensation, and we got it at 15. I'm going to set it. Yeah, 15 sounds good. And now what we're going to do this guy right here, and we're going to do we're not even going to do a fill stitch. We're actually going to do a satin stitch. Ah, wrong. This one. There we go. And this one here, I may take the pole compensation down a little bit, make it maybe about 5. I don't need it this thick. Where is it at? There it is. All right, actually, that looks pretty good. And we want to make the color correct. There we go. And right here, first of all, 5.5 stitches per millimeter. I want to make this 12, thin it out a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, whenever you have a graphic that is this low resolution, you do not want to actually auto-convert the text. It's not going to look pretty, okay? You got way too many colors, so you're going to have to do this yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to embroidery. If you had rhinestones, you go to hotfix and do lettering. And I'm going to choose a digitized font that looks similar to this. It looks like Impact. Let's go ahead and go down to Impact. I don't have Impact. Try to pick something that looks close to it. Futura. Let's try Futura. All right, so you choose your font, and I'm going to choose a 1/2-inch font. Type in what I want it to say. Memorial Day. Okay. And of course, what I'm going to do is highlight, set the color to. I'm going to do royal blue, and I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to come into the screen. I'm going to position it. Now, the first thing I'm going to look at my text layout. Okay, we have. I want to adjust the height of the letters to 0.65. Just get a little bit bigger. No, it's too big. Let's go to 0.60. That looks a little better. And then we want to play with the kerning. Okay, the space between letters. I'm going to decrease this a little. 0.050. Get them a little bit closer, and then the spacing between words Always do this first before just taking your side and dragging it in. Ah, come on, Alan. By the way, you notice that I did not put any, let me just choose my text here. I put no fill pattern behind these stitches. I don't like to do that. That really, I have no white background stitches, okay? I don't do that only because it really builds up the stitches and makes my needle work harder, builds up friction on the needle. If you want to, I'd rather put applique back here, like a piece of material, for my stitches to hold on to. All right, so from there, what I do is I go to my next step, which actually choose my thread trims and letters. I'm going to do my lock stitch and letters. I'm going to set my stitch densities. We want 5.50 stitches per millimeter. My pull compensation is not going to be fixed. It's actually going to be proportional at about, let's see, it'd probably go to about a 7. Makes it a little thicker. And your underlay. You need those 3 things: densities, pull compensation, and underlays. And let me see, where's my underlay at? Probably because I'm not on full. Yeah, I am on full. See, underlay right here. And the underlay should be centered, and it is. There we go. So let's go ahead and shrink this back in again. Actually, I'm just going to shrink this up a little bit more, 0.55. I think it's probably the best. There we go. That looks about the best. And I'm just going to shrink it in more from each side, be inside the banner. There we go. And then we'll do the same thing in loving memory of. So let's go ahead and do in loving memory. So we're going to choose the same font, keep it all the same. Probably going to be 0.25 quarter-inch font. And I go in loving, it's all capitals. All right, I'm going to lay that in there. Position where I'm going to place it, and then of course I got a lot of adjustments to do. Okay, we still had to do our kerning is going to be 0.025 probably, really close together because I'm going to arch it. When I arch it, it puts it even further apart. I'm going to go 25%, half the distance between words, and we'll put our lock stitches in there, put our trims in there, and then we're going to tell it, no, by the way, we got to do our, just work, all these spots, don't skip over things, okay? I almost did there. All right, pull compensation. Small text like quarter-inch text needs an exaggerated pull compensation value, only because you want your columns to be thick. When they sew out, my underlay, I'm just going to keep it uncentered. I'm going to say yes, okay. And then we're going to go ahead and choose our envelope, and it's going to be upper arch. Say yes. And just push on this bottom. Bring it down into it. Just keep pushing up on it until you get the right shape. You see how far my letters got? So a little adjustment. We're just going to keep adjusting and keep adjusting until I match the arch. Go to the side. And eventually you will get this position just where you need it. A little bit more push. There we go. Now we'll come down to the middle gray. And I've got to push it up just a little bit more. I didn't think I would have to, but I do. There we go. And I think we got it pretty much centered there. There we go. Maybe not. Just center it up, grab the bottom right one, and just rotate it around a little bit. There we go. Looks pretty good. And then what you want to do is, I could actually make that smaller if I wanted to and put my stars in there. Of course, I would do the bottom text. We're running out of time. That's why I'm trying to speed up here. For the stars, of course, I bring in stars. I bring in shapes, okay? Just bring in a shape. Make sure it's square. Go to layout. Go to, turn this, just going to keep it right where it is, actually. That looks pretty good. I'm going to shrink it down to a size that I need. And then bring it into your graphic, okay? Once you have it in your graphic, I may have to resize this down a little bit more. Control C and Control V, copies and paste it. Why create it twice when you already have a perfect version of it? Okay, just come over here, and then I'll turn off the pan tool, and I'll grab this one, and I'll bring it over here. Position it right where you want it. And I'm going to select both of them. They're both graphics. Remember, you got to convert those to stitches, okay? Since it came in as a vector, I'm just going to go into a fill stitch. All right, and then I'm going to, since they're still selected, okay, see, they're still selected, come right over here to the Object Manager and change the color to the appropriate color. And there you go. Okay, and then of course I would do the bottom. But see how much time that takes you to do. I could finish this up in maybe about 35, 40 minutes to go through and do some more editing, maybe thin out those border lines so I can make my in loving memory of a little bit bigger so it shows out a little bit nicer. Okay. Also, too, when you have small text like this that's in here in loving memory, you do not want to have stitches behind it. You don't want to use a fill stitch behind it. If you need a material, if you need something behind it, like because the shirt is navy or black, then definitely use applique. Think about using applique. Applique will sit flush up against that shirt, and it provides no density issues. If you put fill stitches in this white area here, or even behind the Memorial Day, it's going to feel like bulletproof on the shirt, especially if it's a lightweight shirt. It'll actually pucker the shirt. So you're trying to decrease the amount of stitches possible for several reasons. Number one, for the feel of the shirt on the customer's body. Number two, the look of the design after they wash it the first time. Way too many layers of embroidery causes the shirt to pucker, and it's not going to be. They're not going to be happy with your quality of work. Okay. So, and the third thing is that the less stitches I have in this, the less time it's going to be on my embroidery machine. So it's quicker turnaround for jobs, more profit coming, more jobs I could bring in and do that day, and set myself up for tomorrow's profits. So I want to keep mind of those things. Always take and also the look of the design. When I have stitches on top of stitches, the royal blue stitches in loving memory will tend to fall into the white stitching behind it and make it look very jagged. So I want to try to control those 5 things, and I do that by adding applique, a white twill background to that Memorial Day. We'll keep those stitches up on top, give a nice clean look to my embroidery, does not pucker when it's washed, lasts long and long, and actually just decreases my stitch count, so it's a win-win-win all the way around. So be mindful of that, okay? A lot of people make that mistake and say, oh, it's a white banner, so I got to put white stitches in there, and then I'll put my Memorial Day stitches in here. And then what we do here at Tech Support, we get a lot of calls about a lot of thread breaks and breaking needles on hats because I'm doing this design. The problem is, the more layers of embroidery you have, your needle builds up friction as it goes through the stitching and the material you're sewing through. The hotter that needle gets, the more apt you're going to have thread breaks. Okay, it's just going to affect how the thread behaves. On a tertiary substrate like a hat, like a twill hat, or a hat with buckram, like a structure behind it, there's going to be a flexing of that needle. Every needle flexes during embroidering, whether the machine is sewing left and right or front to back. It actually flexes the thin part of that needle. If you're building up a lot of layers of embroidery, that needle's going to flex even more. And what's going to happen is going to break that needle, especially on a terse substrate. Okay, so you want to give yourself a better experience by digitizing smartly. Okay. Well, I ran out of time real quick there. It seems like I could have covered a lot more territory there. It's 11:01. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions at all? We've covered a lot of territory. I think I covered every possible angle. Even went through a couple designs with you. Let's see. Anybody at all? Anybody? Well, guys, hey, next week we're going to be doing vector, or I think, let me see. Next week's webinar, let's see what we got. What is next week's webinar? Next week's is the 17th, right? My webinars. Come on up. Okay, Mark's Tech Talk is using TrueType fonts, okay, in your design. I'm going to talk about how to find that correct font. A lot of tools out there you can use to figure out what style font we got. We're also going to show you how to install those fonts, where to find those fonts if you don't have them, and what you can do with different styles of fonts, and we'll have fun with that as well. That's on Friday, March 17th from 10 a.m. and 17. Please go to our website, sign up for that. Bring your questions, any kind of questions at all. It'll be me here. So love to see you here. So I hope I answered all your questions. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.